Hi, my name is Debra R. Richardson of Debra R. Richardson LLC, and I work with you to help you clean up your vendor data, clean up your vendor processes so that you pay the right vendor. And speaking of paying the right vendor, here is the vendor master file tip of the week. It is one way paying vendors by credit card mitigates fraud that you might not think about. So, what is that? Well, let me just start off by saying paying vendors by credit card could mean, right, whether you're paying vendors via P card or virtual card or other card products online or over the phone. It could mean that, you're paying via a third party payment solution provider where you send them a pay file and they take it from there, or maybe you have a credit card payment method set up in your accounting system or ERP, and you run it through your accounting system or ERP, right? So I know that many of you may say, paying vendors by credit card, okay, yes, but vendors don't want to pay the fees. And I want to say you might want to check with your vendors again. Vendors that are in that first tax classification on the W-9, the individual sole proprietors and single member LLCs, especially, right? One, they may already have that fee baked into their price because maybe other vendors or their other clients are paying by credit card and they have the same fee across the board. Also, some vendors like me are concerned with fraud and may prefer payment by credit card since they don't have to take the risk of sending their banking through risky email. And a lot of you still do that. I get it, but it is very risky. And that's because on the other end, right, they have to worry, myself included, of whether or not at some point I'm not going to get a payment because a fraudulent email request came in and my banking was changed. And because I don't answer the phone, because every robo call hits my phone number because it is online, I didn't get the call for the confirmation, right? And so the payment details, the banking details were changed, and I wouldn't know until I called and asked for where the payment is. And for on that matter, lots of you still do not have a way for me to check payment method status or payment status without having to call in to my internal, and then my internal contact will then contact AP, and then 6 days later, right, finally get a response back and find out that the payment was made, but was made to a different bank account. Now, that hasn't happened to me, but I worry about that all the time, so much so that go forward, I'm not sending my vendor banking or my banking details through unsecured email. It's either credit card or you have another way to collect that. So, for that segment of vendors, and you might find that there is a segment of vendors that will accept and will be glad to accept the credit card payments. For that segment of vendors, you do pay by credit card. When you do that, it reduces both internal and external fraud. And how does it do that? Well, it reduces internal fraud because you don't have to store the vendor's banking information in your accounting system or ERP. And this is the one that you might not think about because when the internal fraudster, right, and that happens to companies, as a matter of fact, the one organization says 5% of revenue every year uh, is stolen or defrauded by internal employees. And so what they do is they go in and they will change that vendor's banking, right? Have the payment generate and then go back and change it back again. And so if you do not have the vendor's banking stored in your accounting system or ERP, they can't do that. The next one is it reduces external fraud based on what I just talked about. And it's really because you don't have to collect vendors banking via unsecured email which is prone to external fraud. So if you are still collecting vendors banking via unsecure email, I would look at seeing if some of your vendors can be switched to be paid by credit card payment. Either you have a third party payment solution provider or you have your own P card or virtual card that you can use to pay vendors. And I know a lot of you are getting that payment method or have that payment method now available. And so it may be advantageous for you to check out vendors and see if they will accept credit card payments now. It's probably more than it was before the past 3 years. All right, so if you would like more information on how to improve your vendor processes, please go to my website at deborarrichardson.com for free tools and resources to avoid fraud, regulatory fines, and just overall bad vendor data. Now, if you'd like over 149 annual hours of training for your vendor team to avoid fraud, fines, and bad vendor data, check out the Vendor Process Training Center at training.deborarrichardson.com. So good luck and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified next Tuesday for the next Vendor Master File tip of the week.